Blizzard is finally taking some risks with Diablo 4. You see, one of the things that has been missing in the game is over-the-top itemization. Builds that look kind of crazy. Items in the game that when you look at them, you think, wow, they actually have that. Or items that make you have a combination that immediately comes to mind that you think this would be kind of busted. Well, Blizzard finally took a bit of a gamble with their itemization and are adding some of these types of items to the game, or I should say reworking items into these types of items. They showed some visual examples of this, and here's one such example. On the left is the old, on the right's the new. So what's happening? Well, these gloves allow the fireballs to bounce, and as they bounce, they explode, sort of like rolling magma if you're familiar with PoE. But now you compare it with the new version of the unique staff that makes it where it has up to a 75% chance of just casting twice as many projectiles, and every third cast it launches 2 additional projectiles. They're also just massively buffing the stats across the board on uniques. This is just one such example, but there is a ton of examples of what they're doing to uniques here. Another example for the sorceress is now ice spikes have a chance to just explode twice. Druids can guarantee stealth with themselves to give themselves 100% crit with the new axe. And my personal favorite, the new pants give up to an 85% chance of lucky hit in order to reset your skill cooldowns for companions. That basically means that the druid is straight up just not going to have any cooldowns, that you can just infinitely spam your companion abilities. And with the new buffs to companions, wolves were already kind of good in the PTR for Season 5. We were killing Lilith with them, no problem. So this is going to actually be pretty nuts. They're also reworking the new mythic uniques, or what used to be called uber uniques. So we're going from some items that were confirmed like basically useless. For instance, this is the old version of the spear for the mage that just was straight up not good, but now gives 159% critical, vulnerable, and overpowered damage, 18% to all stats, 33% movement, 66% resistance to all elements. That's crazy. The Grandfather now straight up gives 150% damage on the implicit and 300% on the explicit before we even talk about the 150 to all stats. Tyrio's Might here. Tyrio's Might, 60% resistant to all elements, 7.5% to maximum, 20% damage reduction. They're straight up doubling the damage reduction. And this is before greater affixes are added onto these items, which give a 1.5 modifier. So the Shaco base item now has a 20% cooldown reduction on it. I'm honestly surprised that all of these unique changes weren't really advertised more as a key feature of Season 5. Part of me wonders if they really are just going to take a risk with this and say, you know what, people might be absolutely overpowered this season, so we're not going to make it like the major forefront point of Season 5. We're going to make it the roguelite, the Infernal Hordes, where you all get in a room and you kill a bunch of shit together. But we're going to pseudo-test making stuff absolutely juice this season. Now, one reason this could be happening now is there's been some speculation lately that looks fairly accurate that with the expansion on October 8th, there's going to be coming a lower level cap of level 60, as well as some incoming number squish. Wowhead here, and I'll put the link down below in case you want to read the whole thing, but they show an actual image where Blizzard basically leaked or had this inside of a video that level 60 with 1 as a Paragon level, potentially showing maybe an endless leveling Paragon system like we had with D3. There's other context clues for this showing like maximum armor required for maximum reduction to level 60 as opposed to where it says level 100 in the game currently, as well as the potions that we saw from the playtest that we did in LA shows these level requirements all the way up to 40, 50, and then goes 52, 56, which is much lower levels than what we have currently in the game. All of this sort of leading up to the potential of having a number squish coming to the game. It looks like armor's being squished, levels being squished, which means damage numbers could be squished as well, which could mean Season 5 is the season that they're going to have to throw all the uniques in, get all the crazy stuff going, figure out where there's any issues with any of the new items coming to the game, and then squish the numbers down from there. Itemization in ARPG is highly important. When we were watching the Diablo 4 developer chat, I was streaming it and I was talking to the chat while we were watching it. People were kind of bored. They were talking about quality of life, and all of the changes were good. Everyone liked all of the changes. There's quality of life, there's bug fixes, there's additions to the game that just smooth it out, etc. But there wasn't really anything popping, so people were kind of like, this is a little boring, a little dry. But then when the itemization came out of nowhere, everyone in the chat was like, wow, that's like surprisingly good. And it was interesting to see the energy that came out of the chat the moment they started showcasing some things, and you could see people start being like, oh, well, this will work good with this build. This build's going to be insane. When you start talking about itemization and build enabling in an ARPG, people start getting excited because they feel like they can be more creative, or they start seeing combinations in the game, even if the game is leading you that way, where these are combinations that will be obvious, like the fireball gloves and the fireball staff. People will naturally start seeing these combinations, and they'll feel like, oh, I want to try that to see what that combination looks like. And it's the trying that of the builds, paired with the fact that you feel like you're doing tons of damage and you're melting things, that makes people feel good in these ARPGs. And after playing Diablo 2 and Path of Exile, anytime I would hit a major build and I just started crushing through mobs, I would feel like a god. And I wasn't a genius for coming up with these builds, but it was the acquisition of the items, and it was the finally seeing what it does for myself and my own character that was really excited. So in my opinion, very surprised that Season 5 has so many changes on these uniques. Very surprised they didn't talk about it more on the forefront of their discussions. And generally more excited about the unique item changes, as it's almost like a full rework for uniques, as opposed to even the seasonal mechanic or something for the roguelite. I think that looks like okay to mid, but the unique item changes actually look like a real reason to log in and try it. So before, was thinking Season 5 would be like a day or two for me. If the unique items are pretty good, I'll probably try multiple classes at this point. And then I am very interested to see how this transitions going into Season 6 and the expansion, paired with the fact that it looks like we're having a new level cap of level 60, so it's a level drop and a new potentially infinite Paragon system, or maybe a cap Paragon system or something like that. But we'll find out with the expansion, and we'll find out with the launch of the season. So that's about it. Thanks for watching this video. I'll be live now. The link will be down below for that, as well as the article, The Wowhead, if you want to read that yourself. Consider subscribing to the channel if you want to. If not, don't worry about it. Have a wonderful evening.